Have you ever wondered which emotion truly holds the most power over us? Which one digs its roots deepest into the soil of our memory? Is it love or is it fear? We build our lives around the pursuit of love. We write songs about it. We start families because of it. We believe it conquers all, but what if that's just a story we tell ourselves? A beautiful, comforting lie. What if the most enduring, the most reliable, the most effective tool for influence isn't a gentle hand, but a clenched fist? Niccolò Machiavelli, a name that sends a shiver down the spine of idealists, wrote something 500 years ago that still feels dangerous to say out loud. He said that if a ruler has to choose, it is much safer to be feared than to be loved. This wasn't the advice of a monster. It was the cold calculation of a political strategist observing humanity as it is, not as we wish it to be. And the uncomfortable truth is, modern psychology is just now catching up to his chilling observation. Our brains, it turns out, are hardwired to agree with him. Think about your own life for a moment, not the highlight reel, but the real uncut version. Can you remember with perfect clarity every compliment you've ever received, every gentle word of praise, every moment of quiet affection? Probably not. They tend to blur together, a warm, pleasant haze, a general feeling of being liked. But what about the time you were humiliated in front of your class? Or the sting of a sharp, cruel criticism from someone you respected? What about the gut-wrenching fear of a near miss on the highway? Or the dread of a boss's footsteps approaching your desk after you made a mistake? Those memories are different, aren't they? They're not hazy. They are sharp. They are vivid. They have textures and sounds and smells attached. They are etched into you. This isn't a personal failing. It's a feature of your design. It's a psychological principle called the negativity bias. Simply put, our brains are like Velcro for negative experiences and Teflon for positive ones. Bad news, bad feedback, and bad emotions stick to us with a stubborn grip, while the good things tend to slide right off. It's an ancient survival mechanism. Your ancestor, who spent all day admiring a beautiful sunset but failed to notice the rustle in the bushes, well, he didn't get to pass on his genes, but the anxious, paranoid ancestor who jumped at every shadow, the one who remembered forever the place where a predator was last seen, he survived. We are the descendants of the worried, the fearful, the cautious. Fear kept us alive. Love made life worth living, perhaps, but fear is what made life possible. So when Machiavelli says fear is a more reliable bond, he's not just talking about politics. He's describing a fundamental blueprint of the human mind. Love, you see, is a bond of obligation. It's a gift, and it depends entirely on the goodwill of the other person. They can withdraw it at any moment, for any reason, or for no reason at all. Their feelings can change. They can find someone else. They can simply grow tired. The bond of love is fragile because it is freely given. But fear is a bond of a different kind. It isn't given. It's imposed. It doesn't rely on another person's fickle emotions. It relies on their instinct for self-preservation, a much more dependable foundation. You might stop loving your boss, but you won't stop fearing the consequences of not doing your job. The love for a leader can evaporate overnight with one bad decision, but the fear of that leader's power, the fear of chaos, the fear of punishment that lingers, it's a shadow that follows you, a constant calculation running in the back of your mind. What is the cost of disobedience? What is the price of stepping out of line? Love asks for your heart. Fear demands your compliance. And in the brutal game of power and influence, which do you think is the safer bet? Which foundation is less likely to crumble when the storms arrive? The one built on the shifting sands of affection, or the one carved into the bedrock of survival? It's a deeply unsettling thought, because it challenges the very core of our most cherished beliefs about human connection, about what motivates us, and about the nature of power itself. We want to believe that the best teacher is the kind one, that the best leader is the inspiring one, that the best parent is the loving one, and often they are. But for how long and how reliably? Think of a teacher you loved, one who was kind and encouraging. You worked hard for them because you wanted their approval. You wanted to make them proud. That is a powerful motivator. But what happened when a different, more interesting subject came along, or when your friends invited you out? The bond of love was tested, and it may have bent. Now think of a teacher you feared, one who was strict. You worked to avoid a negative outcome, to escape criticism, to prevent failure. That motivation is less noble, less beautiful, but is it less effective? The lessons taught by that feared teacher, do they not perhaps stick with you more intensely, precisely because they were forged in the fire of anxiety? The fear of their red pen, the fear of being called out, the fear of not being good enough. That fear carved the information into your brain. Love persuades, but fear imprints. It bypasses the complex, rational parts of our brain and speaks directly to the ancient, primal core, the part of us that is all about survival, the amygdala, your brain's little almond-shaped fear center. When you feel love or admiration, it's a complex symphony of brain activity involving trust, empathy, and higher-level thinking in the prefrontal cortex. It's a beautiful, intricate dance. But fear is a fire alarm. It's a single, deafening siren that overrides everything else. It's a shortcut, a neurological trump card. In a state of fear, your ability for complex reasoning diminishes. Your focus narrows to a single point, the threat, and anything associated with that threat gets burned into your long-term memory with incredible force. This is why people who survive traumatic events can recall tiny, insignificant details from the scene with perfect clarity years later. The pattern on the wallpaper, the song that was playing on the radio, the smell of rain on the pavement. Their brains screamed, "This is important. Remember this forever so you can avoid it." Love simply doesn't have that kind of emergency broadcast system. No one remembers every detail of 1,000 happy dinners, but they remember every second of the one car crash they were in. So when a leader, a boss, or even a partner uses fear, whether it's the fear of being fired, the fear of being shamed, or the fear of being abandoned, they are hijacking this ancient, powerful system. They are ensuring that their message, their rules, their power is not just heard, but permanently recorded. It becomes a part of your internal warning system, a landmark in your mental map of the world labeled "Danger, do not cross." This is the grim reality of our wiring. The pathways for fear are faster, stronger, and more permanent than the pathways for love and affection. Love is a luxury of a safe and stable mind. Fear is the bedrock operating system that runs underneath it all, ready to take over at the first sign of trouble. Machiavelli knew this instinctively. He saw that the promises of men are unreliable. their gratitude is fleeting, and their loyalty is for sale. He called love a link of obligation which, because men are wretched creatures, is broken on every opportunity for their own profit. A brutal assessment of humanity. But is he wrong? How many times have we seen friendships dissolve over money, or loyalty crumble in the face of a better offer? But fear, he continued, is held by a dread of punishment which will never leave you. Never. That's the key word. The memory of love can fade, but the memory of dread has an eternal echo. It's the ghost that haunts the hallways of your mind, the quiet whisper that says, "Be careful, don't make that mistake again." This dynamic doesn't just play out in grand palaces or corporate boardrooms. It's in our most intimate relationships. Think about the concept of walking on eggshells around a volatile partner or family member. You aren't motivated by love in those moments. You are motivated by a deeply ingrained fear of triggering an outburst, a cold shoulder, or a bitter word. You modify your behavior, you censor your thoughts, you shrink yourself down, not to earn affection, but to avoid a negative consequence. The fear of the argument is a more powerful behavioral guide than the hope for a compliment. This is Machiavelli's principle playing out at the kitchen table. The person who controls the emotional climate through fear, who has conditioned you to associate certain behaviors with pain or anxiety, holds a terrifyingly stable form of power. They don't need to be actively angry or threatening all the time. The memory of their anger is enough. The dread of the punishment is the chain, not the punishment itself. This is why breaking free from emotionally abusive relationships is so incredibly difficult. The fear has been imprinted so deeply that it feels like a part of you, a fundamental truth about the world. The fear tells you that you are nothing without them, that you will fail, that the outside world is even scarier. This bond of fear can feel more permanent and inescapable than any bond of love ever could. Because it's not just a relationship with another person anymore. It's a relationship with the ghost in your own head, the fear they installed. And this is where the true genius and the true terror of Machiavelli's observation lies. Fear is a self-perpetuating system